What's happening, everyone? JayShockblast here, and check it out. Last week, I got to go to New York City, thanks to the folks at Bethesda and Arkane Austin, and I got to play Redfall, and I'm really excited to talk about it because the game was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people are going to be pretty excited to get their hands on it. So this was a press event that I got to do. They flew me down, put me up in a hotel, and brought me out and got to hang out with some other content creators like my buddy Caboose and Johnny Rocker, Christopher Odd, Moxie, all some of the people that I got to meet at the event. And I can't thank Bethesda enough for including me in doing this. I'm very fortunate to get to do stuff like this, and I definitely want to thank everybody for their support and helping me get there. So let's talk a little bit about Redfall. Redfall is an open world looter shooter RPG style game based in the mythical town of Redfall, Massachusetts. And as you know, I'm from Massachusetts, so this one hits close to home. I'm really excited because this just felt like home. It felt authentic. You know, a lot of times you play these games and it could be any town USA, but you know, it's a little bit different when it's your town, right? And for me, obviously Redfall is not a real place. It kind of feels very Cape Cod-ish, a little Martha's Vineyard-y, because it is on an island. And I don't know, man, it's just, there's something about that obviously was very unique to me, and I was pretty excited about, especially checking it out and seeing, hey, does this really feel like home? And it really did. Very authentic. And I know that that's not going to matter to a lot of people, but it really kind of mattered to me. So I really felt like I wanted to start off talking about that aspect of the game. So basically, there's a big accident that happens. The island town of Redfall is under siege by a legion of vampires who have blocked out the sun and cut the citizens off from the outside world. So that is from their little press release that they sent me. And it's a good way to get an explanation as to the events of Redfall. Now, one of the great things about this game is going to be on Xbox Series X and S. It'll also be on PC and in the cloud. And this is a Game Pass title. So if you have Game Pass, you can play this game for free. And it comes out on May the 2nd. And honestly, I can't wait. I think for a lot of people, it's going to feel a little bit like a cross between something like Borderlands and BioShock. Very dark and creepy vibe. I got to do a quest where we had to research a specific scientist at his house, and the quest was really, really creepy. You know, he had a daughter, and you kind of get to experience what she went through the whole process and stuff like that. Very, very interesting. There's some puzzles involved. There's different enemy types that you have to kill. You know, honestly, it's gonna feel familiar, right? Like, there's only so many ways you could do a looter shooter when it gets to the point where it's like, all right, you know, we're playing the same game, just a little bit of a different way. And there is going to have some feelings of that with Redfall. And I don't think that's a bad thing because, you know, if it's a good game, it's a good game. And if it's a style of game that you like, then there you go. I know some people might be getting tired of looter shooters, but I'm not one of those people. It's the type of game that I really enjoy. Borderlands, one of my favorite games of all time. Obviously, I like Destiny a lot and all the other games of its style. So you are constantly going around finding different guns. The guns are pretty unique. You've got your traditional sniper rifles and assault rifles, but there's also like UV guns because obviously they're vampires. So, you know, specific UV rays will kind of blind them a little bit. And one of the other interesting things about combat is you don't just shoot, you know, a bunch of bullets into a sponge. These vampires, you know, they're vampires. You got to put a stake through their heart. So once you deplete all their health, you have to have a specific type of gun that you can go ahead and stab them in the chest, because otherwise they get their health back, come back to life, and murk you, which I embarrassed myself in front of some of the devs that were watching over my shoulder when I did not realize that I did not have a gun with a stake on it. So there is that. I loved it. I really did. I really enjoyed it. There's 4 playable characters in the game at launch. Devinder Crowsley is a cryptozoologist and aspiring inventor. Armed with weapons of his own creation, he's on a mission to prove himself. I believe he's also described as a like an influencer or a podcaster, something of that effect. There's also Layla Ellison, a biomedical engineering student who volunteered for a medical trial where something went very wrong, leaving her with intense telekinetic abilities. There's also Jacob Boyer, who I almost went with. He is an ex-military sharpshooter turned private contractor. Strange happenings on Redfall have left Jacob with a mysterious vampiric eye and spectral raven that are never far from his side. So the reason why I almost wanted to go with Jacob is because he reminds me a lot in ways of Mordecai from Borderlands, one of my favorite characters that I've ever gotten to play as in any video game. But in the end, I went with Remy De Rosa, a brilliant combat engineer who has spent her life on the front lines with the help of her robot cohort Brivon. She's determined to help rescue Redfall survivors. So obviously I'm reading a little bit from their little press release just to kind of give you the information. The reason I went with Remy is because I liked the idea of the bot. The bot, I think, does some minor damage on its own, but it can also distract the enemies. You can press a certain button and it'll start making noises, it'll start waving, and the vampires or the cultist will change. She's basically going to pull aggro, right? So I thought that was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. She also has like a C4, a block of C4, and I enjoyed kind of just chucking it at groups and exploding them. So that was really fun. The sniper rifle is dope. I felt like it was on point, very accurate. Quite enjoyed booming some headshots. Obviously we just got 90 minutes to play the game, so I didn't get to see everything. But I did take that time to do the one mission that they set us up to do, along with kind of walk around and see the places. And it felt pretty big. It felt like there was a lot to do. It felt like you were in danger, like kind of constantly, because these vampires have pretty good sight, pretty good senses, and they could see you, and at any point in time they could pop up on you and give you a little jump scare. There are some kind of different variations of the vampires. There was one that gave me the most trouble was the one that I didn't stake, and when I finally killed it, it came back to life and just off like behind me started killing me. Because it was draining the energy from me. And we got thrust into it. We're level 8, so obviously we didn't have the time to go through the motions and really learn everything and all the core mechanics that would have got us to that point. But it was still really cool to see everything and make a couple mistakes, because I know I'll have a little bit of a leg up once the full game is released. I don't know what else I can really say about Redfall, man. The video in the background is not my gameplay. It's some B-roll footage they provided us with. So we weren't able to actually record our own gameplay. But what I'm really looking forward to with this is it's got co-op, so up to 4 players can play together. I think that's awesome. Anytime you can play with your friends, that's awesome. And it's just another fun game that you can hop into, and I think that's great. They did make sure to mention there are no microtransactions, so I did see that there were different skins and stuff like that you can unlock, and I even found a garden gnome, which I was able to turn into the stake at the end of my gun, which is kind of a cool little concept that you're looking for little collectibles that you can actually use as weapons, and running around with a little garden gnome at the end of your weapon is kind of funny. So it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it kind of I really keep going back to BioShock, the original BioShock, Would You Kindly, that kind of thing. It reminded me of how I felt when I played BioShock, when I was walking around, and just that unique aura that's always kind of surrounding you. And I think this is really going to be a special game for a lot of people. I don't think it's reinventing the wheel, all right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a looter shooter RPG with, with a bunch of different guns, a bunch of different, skills that you can unlock. And that at its core is something that we've all seen, but it's all about the actual game itself and how you put it together and how it's presented and the story that goes with it. And the fact that this is on Game Pass makes it so easy to really just kind of jump into and enjoy. There is a version that you can get at retail, and this is actually something I think that's really cool. It's $29.99, and it will actually give you the first DLC character free, and it gives you a bunch of skins and some stuff like that. So you can actually get that if you want to, and it comes with a steelbook. It's called the Bite Back Edition, and otherwise, they might release little skin packs or something like that you buy and download as regular DLC, but there's no in-game store. Everything in the game is earnable, and I know for a lot of people that's pretty important. But there is that kind of bonus bundle that you can get if you want. And what I really appreciate about it is that you're not having to pay extra for the game, because I'm a collector. I love steelbooks, and this is going to come with a cool Redfall steelbook and some extra goodies that, otherwise you wouldn't have access to for $29.99. And honestly, if that's all you ever end up spending on the game, I think you're going to be really happy with it. Or you can just get the game through Game Pass, and I think you'll be happy with that too. I really feel like it's just a fun game, like vampires is a pretty popular theme, and I don't feel like we've done it this way before. So I'm really intrigued to see what other people are going to think when they get their hands on it. May 2nd is when Redfall is going to be released, and I can't wait. So thank you again to Bethesda for having me out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you.